Hello, and welcome to Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. So it's been a lot this year with working and all the knitting and stuff, and I am like kind of going crazy with like all the projects that I have, and I don't tend to finish as much stuff, especially big stuff these days, because I am focusing so hard on getting through socks, and I'm not sharing the socks regularly because I have to release them slowly. So I was trying to kind of think of like, okay, what can I do on my channel this week to have an episode? Because I still like to have episodes every week. I like to chat. I'm a talker, obviously. And I like to interact with people on YouTube and, share stuff. So I thought I would talk about vanilla sweaters. So this is kind of what I used to do on the podcast. I used to kind of have like a topic and I would like have notes on it, and then I would talk about it. I would teach a lot of like sort of be like teaching about it, and then it kind of went more into like, here are the Fair Isle pieces I'm making, and here's like sort of the process of that. And now it's just kind of devolved into like whatever I want. I'm also a lot less formal now, and I don't like wear makeup, and it's been a change over the last year. And I drink coffee on my channel now. But I feel like when I started this, I used to always wear all these sweaters, and I would never like say what they were or describe them in any way, or like I would sort of, but like then I would be talking about something else related to Fair Isle, and so they wouldn't really get their spotlight like they deserved. So I thought I would talk about vanilla sweaters today because, recently the Woolly Thistle, Kareen, did the vanilla fluff, which is really fun. It's like the vanilla sweater, except it's held with mohair, so it's super cool. And I usually have a vanilla sweater-ish project on the needles all the time for downtime knitting, or like I like to have a vanilla project basically, and oftentimes that's a completely vanilla sweater, or it'll be like the vanilla portion of a yoke sweater. Like I'll finish the yoke and then I'll like keep the vanilla knitting for Zoom meetings or whatever. Usually when I'm at work and I'm on Zoom or something, I am knitting self-striping socks. I like to knit socks with Knit Picks Felici because I can get 2 socks out of 1 ball as long as I use a contrasting color for heels, toes, and cuffs, which is really great. So yeah, but I usually have a vanilla sweater on the needles somehow. And when this all kind of started, this was more than 2 years ago, in the beginning of 2020, when the vanilla sweater was kind of like in the air, like when I think Kareen was making one, and then a bunch of people were like, please release this pattern, and then she did, and now lots of people make them. Vanilla sweater from the Woolly Thistle is a great pattern. It's a crew neck sweater for Rama fennel garn or fingering weight yarn, and it's on pretty big needles. Like for the fact that it's like a sport fingering weight yarn, you're using bigger needles, because a traditional gauge for Rama would probably be more like 24, 26 stitches over 4 inches, and this one's 20 stitches over 4 inches. So it's looser, it's drapey, it's really lightweight, it feels really nice. This is not the vanilla sweater pattern. This is actually a little bit different. It has some seams, but so sometimes I like to make the vanilla sweater, which is a crew neck. Sometimes I like to make this one, which is called the Oldous sweater, and it has some faux seams, pearl seams down the sleeve caps. It has more on the sides. There's also one down the back, so you can tell the front from the back, which is nice. Sometimes I knit a V-neck. So I want to talk about a few of the sweaters I've knit, the one I'm currently working on, and some of the yarns that I like to use, because vanilla knitting is great. I don't have any mohair examples with me right now because I've put them all away, but it's warm. I don't put these ones away because it's I sort of put them like under my bed for a while in the summer, because in Maryland it gets really hot. In Vermont sometimes I actually wear them in like the summer at night when it's chillier, especially in June and August. So anyway, I'll start with the one that I'm wearing right now, because I'm also knitting this one as a whip. So this is called the Oldous sweater, A-L-D-O-U-S. I'll link all of these things in the show notes. This is a top-down sweater, vanilla knitting, plain. And it's, like I said, it has this feature where there's kind of this fake seam that goes here down the side. So this, I can't remember if I knit this in the original yarn of this pattern. I knit this in Too Cool fingering in the color Lehto, L-E-H-T-O. And I bought this yarn in London right before COVID at Wild and Woolly, which I also went to when I was in London last month. It's a great store. They pack a ton into a very small shop, so that's a great place if you're in the area to check out. A lot of like really beautiful woolly yarns there. So I bought this because the color just like said something to me. It was like, you need to make that color into a sweater. And everybody comments on the color because it's kind of like, I think it's dyed on gray, but it's a pretty bright green. So it's like bright, but it's really muted because of the grayish base. It definitely feels like there's some, either the base, yeah, it has to be the base. I think the base is a darker color. It's not dyed on white. It's probably dyed on a color like this. There's a sneak peek of the Rama fennel garn I'm going to show you. So, Too Cool fingering. I have an example. I have a skein here. This is color H21 Repo, R-E-P-O, Repo. Too Cool. You can see really how heathered it is here. It's wool and spun. It's quite woolly, although I find that it softens. I don't find it a problem to wear next to my skin. You might, however, and in that case, you can wear a shirt underneath it. Too Cool fingering, 100% finish wool. This is 50 grams, 195 meters, made in Finland. Too Cool has a sock yarn as well, which is a little heavier. It's sport weight. It's not super wash, but it does have nylon, and they also have DK now. I think they have other yarns. They're just not like commercially available necessarily everywhere, whereas like we can get Too Cool fingering in DK. Here, the Woolly Thistle carries it. If you're looking, there's probably some other stores that carry it, but the Woolly Thistle definitely does. If you're in Canada, I think you can get it at Espace Tricot. In the past, they've definitely had Too Cool there, although they have new owners now, so they might not have the same stuff. And like COVID has happened and is continuing to happen. So again, might be different. But this is a little bit of a tighter gauge. So the gauge of this sweater is 24 stitches over 4 inches rather than 20. So I knit this on a smaller needle. I knit this on a US 3 and it gave me the gauge that I wanted. It has a little bit of a low drop in the sleeve. My mom also made one of these in Too Cool, and her sleeve is so big that like she had to shorten the sweater because the sweater was just too long. But it kind of has like I'm rambling. I need to focus my, sorry. Because of the construction, basically what happens is that you cast on at the neck, you knit the ribbing, and then you knit these, I think they're short rows, but then you do this thing where you're not increasing on the sleeves at all. There's just this kind of saddle here, but you're increasing really fast on, this is where you do the short rows. You're doing it while you're doing adding a bunch of stitches on the front and the back around the sides of the neck. So you're very quickly adding the stitches to the body, and you're gonna mostly keep that like a steady number. You're not gonna do a bunch of increases. You just increase kind of down to here, and sometimes you do double increases. And then you stop increasing on the body. You just, as you can see, this just kind of goes flat, and you just increase on the sleeves. It looks like it's slanting that way and maybe has a raglan, but it does not. This goes straight down, and then the sleeve goes out. And then you do a few more increases on the body and the sleeves when you're kind of done with that long sleeve cap. But yeah, it looks like capped sleeves there, which is kind of cool. So yeah, it's a slightly tighter gauge, and it has these, again, this is a purl seam. And I told you it's shaped with short rows. And there's fast increases on the body, which makes the body a little wider. It makes it kind of just like, you know, a little sweatshirty. It's kind of nice. So the one that I'm working on now, this is, there it is, this blue. You can see that. Whoa, that's, not sure why that's in there. That must have been my waist yarn. So this yarn is Titus by Bahramu, which is 70% long wool. It maybe is all Wensleydale. It's a long wool from England, because you can see that halo. That's the alpaca, actually. And 30% of it is alpaca for sure. It's very drapey. It's worsted spun. It's kind of a sport weight. It's definitely similar to Tuca wool in like, you know, actual thickness. You can really see that halo there. That's really nice. And it comes in, I don't have the ball band, but I think it's like under 400 meters and yards, because it's technically sport weight, but I find that it goes, a ball goes a long way of this. So I'll show you in progress here. I'm gonna move my coffee so I don't get coffee all over it. It's a little wrinkled because it's been sitting in this bag for like a month. I had been working on it in like, I actually cast this on like last June, worked on it a little bit last summer, really put it away for a while. Got it out to go to England, actually. I was like, oh, this is what I'm gonna bring to England because I want to get it done. Got most of it done, actually. I finished the body, but I didn't try it on because I was on the airplane, or maybe I was at the airport. And it's too short, so I'm gonna have to take the ribbing out of the body and redo that, but no problem. It's fine. So you can see here is this is the neck. Here's the quick increases on the body where the sleeves stay flat, and then all of a sudden the body stitches stay flat and the sleeves have an increase, and there's that purl ridge. This is gonna like really not have the wrinkles when it's blocked. Not have the wrinkles. It's gonna smooth out, and I find that a fabric that's created by a yarn with a lot of alpaca in it. My mom said she had the same issue. She knit this cardigan. It's actually the same color as this. Her yarn was alpaca. It was 80% alpaca and 20% silk. I think I made it like she bought a 10-pack and I just dyed it for her because she had a shawl that she was making out of the same thing, and then she knit the rest into a sweater. And it was this color, and it was a cardigan with these like slipped, twisted stitches, kind of like twist stitch kind of cable columns that you were just doing like a 1x1 twist and slipping the stitch. It's hard to explain. It's called the Winterfell cardigan, I think. I'll link it. It's cute. It's really pretty. And she said her knitting looked so uneven that she ended up knitting, on the body, because she was knitting back and forth, that she knitted her sleeves flat because she wanted it to at least look the same. But then when she blocked it, it was like perfect. So this happens a lot with a really drapey yarn, especially one that has alpaca in it. And you might notice it also with like a worsted spun fingering weight yarn, like Daughter of a Shepherd Heritage or Jameson and Smith Heritage, which is the worsted spun, very thin yarn, something like that. It's hard necessarily to make your knitting look super flat, but this is why we have blocking. So if you have ever made something and it's protein fiber, like it's wool or alpaca or something, silk even, I mean, even linen, like, because linen will like a soak will really help linen kind of soften up. Block that before you make your final like judgments about it. And this is why we should block our swatches, because the way that the blocked swatch behaves tells you how the garment will behave. So measuring your swatch both before and after blocking is important, and then taking a look at the swatch and saying, does this have the drape I want? Is it open enough? Is it tight enough? Like, you get to decide. And then, you know, if it's not, go back to the drawing board, try the same thing with another size needle. And again, something that sometimes happens is that like we get the correct gauge for our pattern, but we don't actually like how that gauge looks with that wool. Like for us, that might look too tight or too loose with that particular yarn choice. So in that case, you're gonna need to adjust the gauge yourself or use a different yarn. But definitely like pay attention to that, because that's gonna affect how much you enjoy wearing your finished object. And I mean, you can give it away, but like even Andrea Mowry says this all the time. She's like, yeah, my first sweater with cables, I didn't block it and I hated it, so I gave it to someone else, but I didn't know that I could have blocked it and it would have looked great. Like always, if you haven't tried blocking, try it and see what happens. So I'm planning to obviously block this. You can see the back also has the seam, so you can tell the front from the back. And I think some people wear it reversed. So if you wear it reversed, you know, you've got your knit column inside with the pearl texture. That's cool. I don't know if it's me, but it's really cool. This is what it looks like. It looks kind of small, but it's not. Please keep in mind that it's not done. Even the band here, oh, that's clinking. It's just gonna be longer. Like I need to add 2 or 3 inches. I'm working on sleeve number 2 right now. This sleeve, I just went until the end of my second ball for this sleeve because I didn't know how long I wanted to make it. But I'm pretty much done with this sleeve. Just needs a little bit more and then just some ribbing to finish it off. Then I need to finish the sleeve and then just lengthen this body a little bit. And then I'm gonna put this one in the blocking bath and then put it away because it's too warm. It's Wensleydale long wool and alpaca. And maybe there's some other long wools in it too. I will find out. It's very soft. Like this is like soft on the skin. Like this, somebody might describe as rough, rustic, whatever. I don't even like, I just don't feel it. Like because I wear so much wool, it's normal. Some people have more sensitive skin. I do not have sensitive wool skin. So I don't have a problem with that. But this, I would say not the same at all. This is much softer, kind of drapier. And you know, one thing that we often talk about is like woolly wool is sustainable, all that stuff. Woolly wool is really sustainable. It's like you can really tell that came from an animal. You feel connected to the earth in this way. I think part of the sustainability discussion around using under-processed wool is fantastic. And you know, these are biodegradable. They will return to the soil. You can compost a sweater. It's wool. It's going to break down. That's one of them. You know, it's good for the person who's wearing it. Your body temperature is regulated with wool. It's kind of naturally moisture wicking. It's really warm, especially if it's woolen spun. It traps a lot of air, keeps the heat close to your body. There's so many benefits to like using under-processed wool that you can kind of tell is wool, you know. And I like to knit socks with merino nylon superwash treated sock yarn too. Like I definitely see the benefits of using a superwash treated wool. I see lots of things, but I think there's a big movement towards this kind of woollier wool because it's sustainable, but people do sometimes feel uncomfortable wearing it. And this is also a good option. This is by Bahram, which is an English company that spins their yarn and grows their wool. It's all in England. It's, you know, they have their production, it's probably in Yorkshire, but I'm not positive. I think it's in Yorkshire. They've got lots of yarns that are worsted spun. They've got alpaca blends, and these also came right off the backs of sheep. There's a huge difference between a Shetland sheep, which made Jameson and Smith short long wool or short staple sheep, really curly, versus a Wensleydale sheep, which has a really long staple. They're both sheep. This came off of a sheep in the same way that this one did, and it feels really different. So if you're interested, oh, I should have brought that. It's in my living room. You should check out the Fleece and Fiber source book, which I think they have at the Woolly Thistle now. The Fleece and Fiber source book will tell you all sorts of things about sheep breeds and the different properties of their wool. I think you can get like pocket ones for wool festivals. I'm trying to find one for Maryland Sheep and Wool in 2 weeks. They probably sell them there. Anyway, so yeah, this is just as, you know, sustainable. It's made with protein fibers just as much as this is, even though they feel incredibly different. So yeah, I pulled this out this morning to talk about it because it was a, you know, here's a project I can show, and I can wear another sweater so you can see what it looks like. But also because I want to finish it. It's like, motivate yourself to finish that. Come on. Oh, the needle's coming out here. Oops. Excuse me. That's what I always say to stitches that fall off my needles. I say, excuse me. It's kind of silly. Okay. Oldous. I made this also in Rama fennel yarn once. I made it for my friend Ivy, who's a knitter. Well, that just, I don't know where that ball yarn went. And I made hers in Rama, and it's kind of a petrol blue color. I'll link the Ravelry page in the show notes. But I knitted it at a slightly looser gauge. I think this is 24 stitches over 4 inches. Maybe it's 22. I think I knit Ivy's closer to 20. I just made the smallest size. I was like, this will fit. It does. It fits her fine. It does have like kind of lower sleeves here. I did notice that my mom's issue was the same as mine when I knitted it in Rama. So when you change your wool and you change your gauge, there will be things that get affected, and one of them in this particular sweater is that your sleeves will be way down here. So, you know, let's consider those things. Okay, so we talked about toque wool, talked about Oldous. I'm gonna put the toque wool over here. Okay, let's talk about Rama first. So, Rama fennel yarn comes in 50-gram balls. A lot of the colors are actually dyed on this gray, which is why they have this beautiful heathered look. This is color 404. Yeah, Rama fennel yarn. It's 100% Norwegian wool, 2-ply, 175 meters, 50 grams. Yeah, this says 26 to 24 stitches equals 10 centimeters or 4 inches. So yeah, that's what I thought, 24, 26 inches. Yeah. Wool and spun, kind of a sport weight, very springy. Again, I would say this is very comfortable, especially after a wash. If you find that wool is still a little itchy, you can try dissolving a little bit of hair conditioner in the water. I try to use good quality hair conditioner if I do that. But it softens it up, makes it smell good. If your conditioner smells nice, it's another reason to do it. So I actually got, I'm gonna show you the sleeve so you can see the color first. I got for myself for my birthday, I bought myself a sweater quantity of, I think it's 4136, but I'm not positive on the color name. I'll link it regardless. It's the minty green heather Rama fennel yarn, and I was just gonna make a plain sweater with it. And I decided to start knitting it like kind of around the time when Karine was showing on her Shopcast that she was knitting her first vanilla sweater, which I think was gray. No, that was the purple one. Yeah. And I thought I could do that, but I said I've already knit crew neck sweaters. I would like a V-neck sweater. So this was way before the vanilla sweater pattern got released. So I just kind of like found a pattern. There's a little bit of a stain on this sweater on the front, so ignore that. It needs to be washed. It also needs to be depilled. Yeah, it does. But this is what it looks like. Completely plain sweater. I also was knitting this when I went to England when I bought this yarn. This is what I'd started it right before I left, and there's some wool pieces. And I finished it while I was there because I had all these train rides and plane rides and kind of downtime sitting watching choir practice happen because I was writing my thesis about choristers in England at cathedrals, and I had a lot of sitting to do while I watched and observed and recorded. So I brought this with me, and I actually finished it halfway through the week, and I cast on another one, another vanilla-esque sweater with another yarn that I had bought there. Back just looks like a crew neck. This is the Cumulus Blouse by Petite Knit. Petite Knit is, I think she's Danish. You've probably seen her on Instagram. She has blonde hair and she has a bunch of kids that are really cute and also have blonde hair. And she knits beautiful, kind of really simple patterns with stripes, lots of really cute knits for kids. The Cumulus Blouse was initially written for 2 strands of mohair to be held together. And the gauge was 18 stitches over 4 inches. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna go for 20 stitches over 4 inches, which means, oh, excuse me. I did the math and I figured I just needed to go up 1 size. So I knit the size medium. And it is a little, I probably could have done with the small, but it doesn't really matter. It's oversized, it's a little oversized. I like it kind of like oversized like this. It's nice. A little oversized, just, you've probably seen me wearing this if you've watched my channel for a long time, because I do tend to wear it. It's more of a U-neck almost, because I do a super pointy V for the V-neck, but yeah, I really like it. I really like the way it hangs, the way that Rama drapes. I like how soft it feels. It feels softer than Too Cool, for sure. But you know what? One of the things that I'm encouraging you to do if you like vanilla sweaters is to try doing it in different yarns. Try doing a slightly different pattern, maybe like with something else, or modifying it yourself. So for this, I just wanted a V-neck, so I used the Cumulus Blouse pattern. Thought that would work. I also did knit this in mohair, double-stranded mohair, for one of my mom's sisters, for my Auntie Carrie. I knit that for her because that's what she wanted. It was huge, came out really big. She's a very small woman, but it was nice. It was pink. It was like light pink. She's very knitworthy, so I made it for her. So there's that. See, this is the color. I also made one in mohair and fingering singles. Maybe I've worn that too. I used to wear it all the time. I don't know. It must be downstairs. I must have put it away. It's pink. I made it with Hedgehog Fibers Merino singles in the colorway Cheeky, which is light pink with like speckles of reddish and black. It's really pretty. And like other rainbow colors. And then I used Biche Bouche Le Petite Silk and Mohair as the mohair in very light pink, I think the colorway was. I got them both at Espace Tricot right before COVID. And I knit them in maybe like, I knit that in August of 2020, I think. I really like that. It looks really good with like, it's kind of cropped because I ran out of yarn. I wear it like over a dress or with like high-waisted jeans. And if you are worried about running out of yarn, I would recommend knitting the sleeves first. So like obviously can't start with the sleeves, but you can start, like do your yoke, split for your sleeves, finish the ball you're working with, and then go straight, like put those stitches on hold and go to the sleeves. Knit your first sleeve, knit your second sleeve. Make sure the sleeves are the right length or the length that you want them. And then go back to the body and knit until you're done. Like when you have a little bit left, do your ribbing and finish off. And that way you really use the yarn effectively. So I did that with my Cumulus Blouse in the pink singles and mohair because the singles ran out. And I knew they would run out because if you're making like a love note for someone who's knitting for my size, which is like a lady small, you really only need 2 balls or you need under 200 grams for sure of fingering weight, but that's a looser gauge. You need 2 skeins of fingering weight even for like the first 4 sizes. I think all the way through large, you only need 2 skeins, but that's a cropped sweater with cropped sleeves. So keep that in mind. And it's a looser gauge. So this was a little tighter. It was more of like an 18 stitches over 4 inches gauge. So I knew I would run out of the singles. And so I did the sleeves first. That's how I got around it, which was helpful. So then I do have an actual vanilla sweater. This is the real vanilla sweater. If you're looking for a pattern to start with, get the vanilla sweater. It's from the Woolly Thistle. It's the best. Lots of people have made it. Lots of people are talking about it in the Woolly Thistle's Ravelry group, so you can get help. And it's just like, there's a huge community of folks who have made this amazing sweater. So this is mine. Actually, when I bought the yarn to do it, when they released the pattern, the Woolly Thistle was like completely out of Rama fennel garn because it was so popular, which is the best. I was like so happy for them. I was like, don't worry, I'll get Rama another time. I just got Jameson and Smith, which is my favorite. And because I wanted to see if the same, you know, gauge worked for a slightly thinner yarn. So Rama and Jameson and Smith look really similar. This is 2-ply jumper weight. Oh wow, I think I completely trailed off. I said really similar there. They are really similar. But you can probably see even just from this close-up that this is a little bit thinner than this. It's kind of like holding jumper weight next to jumper weight Supreme. If I didn't tell you what those were, if no one told me what those were and I saw a picture like this, I would think this was jumper weight Supreme in 2003 and this was 2-ply jumper weight in FC62, which it is, but this is Rama. So yeah, this has got a little just of a looser twist. It's a little more airy, where this one is a little tighter. They're both wool and spun. They feel remarkably similar. You could use them together in color work if you were not even like an advanced color work knitter. Like you just need to know a little bit about kind of just how to adjust your tension for knitting with 2 different weights. But I knit this in Jameson and Smith in color FC21, which is, it's like a lavender, but it has some like light kind of beige mixed in. It's like a really muted lavender. So this is knit. You cast it on and you knit back and forth instead of short rows. So you cast it on to just past here and you're casting on like a couple stitches at a time every time you get to the end of the row, and then you cast on these ones at the center neck, like 12 to 20 stitches. I can't remember how many, to close it, start knitting it in the round, and then you keep going. So that's how this one's constructed. Then you do all of these, oh no, not all of these, because this one doesn't have raglan increases, but this one and the Cumulus Blouse have raglan increases. You can see there, very simple top-down construction. If you are getting into sweaters, start with a raglan. It fits great, and it's just easy to construct. You don't have to do fancy increases. You can just knit front and back for all your increases if you want. It looks clean, it fits well. So on mine, I did full length sleeves. Should have finished everything in the same rib. The hem and the sleeve cuffs have 1x1 rib, and then the neck has 2x2 rib, but can't really tell. I did do a split hem, which I love. Really cute. This could also probably use some depilling. Wool and spun yarns tend to need to be depilled, like the sweaters tend to need to be depilled a little more often, depending on also the gauge. So like this Too Cool sweater does not need to be depilled as much as this one does, because the Too Cool sweater's at a tighter gauge, whereas the 20 stitches over 4 inches is very drapey. The pills tend to come out more. I don't know why that is. I just know it's true because of my experience. If your sweater has a couple wrinkles in it like mine does, because it sits folded up, you can steam that out in the morning. Steamer will take care of the wrinkles. So yeah, I definitely swatched this carefully to see how what size needles I would need to use to get 20 stitches over 4 inches when I knit my first vanilla sweater. So if you're deviating from a normal yarn for you, or you're not sure, always wash and block knit a gauge and wash and block it. But it's a little different. Like I said, it's a little thinner. So I needed to really check my gauge swatch, make sure it was going to fit. It does fit. It's for, maybe it's 38 inches around-ish. It doesn't have that much positive ease, but it does, it fits me the way that I want it to fit. So that's good. Yeah, this is one of my favorite sweaters. I kind of want like 10 of them. If you have a cone is probably enough to knit almost any size of this sweater. Mine took 8 balls of Jameson and Smith. I've thought about doing a striped version, because if you do a stripy version, you don't need 8 balls of the same color. But it is what it is. I'll never do that again in Jameson and Smith, unless I'm using a cone, because My Jameson and Smith stash is too precious. It's exclusively for Shetland knitting. I don't do vanilla stuff with Jameson and Smith anymore, just because, I mean, I don't have 8 balls of any color. I have like 4 balls of some colors, but it's expensive to buy 8 balls of one color. I would rather buy 8 balls of different colors and make a Fair Isle piece with it. So, you know. But the Rama Fiddle definitely A+ for this. Yeah, I think I would, if I weren't such a big Fair Isle knitter, I would I love this color, for instance. I would totally knit a vanilla sweater in this color. I don't know, maybe I'll get a cone and do that. So yeah, if you're knitting a hap right now with a cone and you're only gonna use half the amount of yarn on that cone, you could knit a vanilla sweater with the other half. Crazy. Oh, it's making me want to cast on another vanilla sweater, but I have this one, so maybe I'll work on that a little bit. I record on Sunday mornings, almost always, just because that's when the house is quiet and I'm free and I don't have to get up and go to work. I could record on weekday mornings, I just don't. That's when my hair is usually wet. I have curly hair, so if you ever think that somebody is unprofessional because they come to work with wet hair and their hair is curly, they're not unprofessional. They have curly hair. Curly hair has different rules than all other hair, and you have to get it wet so that it looks good and you have to condition it so that it looks good. That's the rule with curly hair. Otherwise it looks like a crazy mess. So if you've ever had a judgment about somebody with curly hair, you know, being late or showing up with wet hair, please forgive them. They are controlled by their curly hair. Anyway, I think that's about it. The vanilla sweater episode. I can't believe I've never had a vanilla sweater episode before. I don't think I have. I'm trying to think. I'm like, wow, is this a repeat? That would be sad. Regardless, I have different viewers now. I don't have different viewers. I have more viewers who might not have seen it. I probably just wear the vanilla sweaters and I talk briefly about them in each episode. I think that's more like what happens. Anyway. This has been Tiny Desk. No. I should tell people to like and subscribe. I always forget to say that. If you want to see more, please like and subscribe. If you watch till the end, which will be shortly, there will be a subscribe button and then a box where you can see another video that's recommended for you. Please go for it. Please do that. That's great. Yeah, smash that subscribe button. But anyway, thank you for watching. This has been Tiny Desk Knitting with Emma. Bye.